Hi, this is Jay. Welcome to Bright Ideas.
Before an activity can be described as play, it must contain five essential characteristics. First is play is intrinsically motivated. It is an end in itself, done only for the sheer satisfaction of doing it. A second related characteristic of play is that it must be freely chosen by the participants. If children are forced or even gently pressured into play, they may not regard the assigned activity as play at all. In one study, for example, it was found that if a kindergarten teacher assigned a play activity to her pupils, they tended to regard this as work, even though they described the identical activity as play if they were allowed to choose it themselves. A third essential characteristic of play is that it must be pleasurable. Children must enjoy the experience or it cannot be regarded as play. If we think of Scott, their first grader who reluctantly agreed to play soccer only because his parents wanted him to, it becomes apparent that his activity on the soccer field fails to satisfy any of the characteristics of play that have been mentioned thus far. Soccer is certainly not intrinsically motivating for Scott. His motivation for doing it is to please his parents. It is not a freely chosen activity because it was chosen for him by his parents. Finally, an activity engenders so much stress in the participant can hardly be described as pleasurable. A fourth characteristic of play is that it is non-literal. That is, it involves a certain element of make-believe, a distortion of reality to accommodate the interest of the player. This is a particularly true of the symbolic play that is so characteristic of the preschool years, when children spend much of their time experimenting with new roles and playing out imaginary scenes. Finally, play is actively engaged in by the player. The child must be involved physically, psychologically, or both, rather than passive or indifferent to what is going on. Play differs in a number of ways from what is usually regarded as work. The major difference is that even when work is enjoyable, it is still extrinsically motivated. It has goal, like to earn money, enhance status, feel useful, or attain success in a chosen field. Like play, work is sometimes freely chosen, but the option to avoid work is rarely available in our society. A person who regards work as pleasurable is fortunate. For most workers, it is not. The non-literal element that typifies play is not usually found in work activities. Finally, work resembles play in the last characteristic. Both are actively engaged in, to some extent at least, by the participants. The teacher's role, therefore, is to be supportive but not overly directive. It would be inappropriate for teachers to use highly structured, teacher directed lessons almost exclusively to direct all the activity, to decide what the children will do and when, while expecting the children to listen passively or do pencil and paper tasks for long periods of time.